this vote that took place on the 23rd of June was a seismic event for us. 48% of us voted to stay. However, 52% of the country voted to leave. So I wanted to kind of start the session this morning by just going through a little bit of the Leave campaign. Because what we have to bear in mind was the campaign was won in very emotional terms, or alternately, the campaign was lost through the lack of an emotional connection to this place called Europe. Just bear with me one moment. So we had a very strong machine behind the Leave campaign. We had images which were very, very emotive. The vision that was presented was really quite enchanting. We were going to have a secure Britain, a defended Britain, a fair Britain, a great, great Britain. We were going to take back control of our borders. It's a familiar phrase that we're hearing again and again. And we were going to save our NHS. Our NHS is our welfare state, our free health service, open to anybody. We were going to save it by not giving £350 million a week to Brussels. Then Justice Secretary Michael Gove announced that we've had enough of experts. We need to really feel our hearts, listen to our hearts. Let's not listen to the experts as to whether we should remain apart or not. He was on the Leave side very strongly, and one of the leading Brexiteers. And that actually this was a battle, he used the word, a battle between the ordinary man, the ordinary person, and the elites. We were going to leave, and we were going to believe in this thing called Britain. Now, at the beginning of the build-up to the referendum, which was around January last year, we initiated a programme working with young people. Now, the idea behind the programme was to ask how they felt about being European and whether or not, which way they would be likely to vote and what would be the factors that would ask them to take that vote. What I'd like to do is just to read a little poem from somebody, and her name is Danny Watson. She was one of the participants, and she's a young woman from Newcastle, a teenager at the time. I'm no performer, so I hope I can do her justice. This is her poem. It's called The Leave Manifesto, Danny Watson. Immigration, immigration, a scourge upon our brilliant nation. Can't pay your rent, that's immigration. Bad weather in Kent, that's immigration. Can't find a council house, that's immigration. Got divorced from your spouse, that's immigration. Can't get your kids a school place, that's immigration. Can't find a parking place, well, that's immigration. Did you read the Daily Mail? 2 million refugees are going to sail from Lebanon, Jordan, Syria and Kos, and they're going to turn Big Ben into a mosque. Let's make Britain great again. Let's bleach this multicultural stain. British jobs for British workers. No more migrants flipping burgers. Nothing gives us more anxiety than migrants contributing to our society. Don't let these faceless bureaucrats tell you what to do. Let's build a wall between us and the EU. Who the hell needs democracy when we've got our own hypocrisy? After all, when it comes to immigration, there's no more reliable source of information than Nigel Farage and bloody Boris Johnson. So that was that. So great, that really nice, I think. Yes, yeah, probably. I'll tell her that you can't. How nice. A really, really emotional connection to people, drawing on our greatest fears, really. The immigration issue came up again and again and again, and it was very divisively used. However, the vote was fairly well split, but it was very, very fragmented. We saw a real difference between the nations of our country. So in Scotland and in Northern Ireland, voters voted to remain, whereas in Wales and in England they voted to leave. We saw a difference between our cities, who on the whole voted to stay, and our rural areas that on the whole voted to go. We saw a difference between the older generation and the younger generation, and we saw a difference between those who might vote towards the left or those that might vote towards the right. The right on the out and the left on the in, on the whole. And we also saw a big difference between our parliamentarians, who, the vast majority, announced that it was a good thing to remain, whereas a majority of their constituencies actually voted to leave. Although 96% of us in the cultural sector voted to remain. Now, I guess my provocation for us here is, we know, those of us working in the cultural sector, and we so often talk to ourselves, so we don't need to tell ourselves this all the time, but we do know that the arts can reveal stories that are hidden. We can find ways of creating new spaces for dialogue and for interaction, and we can find the space to bring the voices of the silent forward. So my question to us all and to ourselves is, are we a part of this problem? Where do we sit in all of this? Or are we a part of the solution? And if we have these extraordinary superpowers to provide the spaces for voices to be heard that might not otherwise be heard,